7 skies. So what would khalaqa be?
Oh, created, not
There
guided.
you go. Yeah,
Yes.
so there you go, right? So that's why waiting. I'm like, okay, let him read forward and then he'll figure out. Okay, great.
أنعامهم, the cattle, وأنفسهم, themselves, and themselves. أفلا, then do not. يبصرون, they see.
Okay, perfect. Mashallah. Okay, Sister Sumaya, what do you think?
كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا, anytime they desire to leave it.
Okay, very good.
كذابنا.
Sorry, what is Nadir?
Oh, warner.
Warner, very good. Yes, Warner. Okay, now let's take a look at our first verb chart. Ooh, there's a lot of information here. We're just going to cover the first box here. Okay, so let me tell you something first. When you see a verb coming in the Quran, you will have a few different types of information. Let's talk about those information. And that is something I have captured for you in my notes here. So if we're talking about active verb, that's what we are focusing on for now. So first piece of information would be the actual action. What was the action that happened? Okay, once again, the first piece of information would be the action. The second piece of information, pay attention to it, would be the pronoun of the actor. The pronoun of the actor or the doer, that could be we, they, I, you, he, she, etc. Okay. The third piece of information is not very important, especially when it comes to Quran, I believe, because the context would already tell you. But it's important because depending on if the verb is a past tense or if it's a present or future, the structure would be different. Once again, depending on if the verb is in past tense or present or future, the structure would be different. I'll show you all these things, just giving you a heads up here. Lastly, sometime within the same word, you may have the receiver of the action or the object of the action also attached. Okay, so quick puzzle question. Can we, the pronoun we, be a receiver of an action? Really, Lena? Okay, good. That's good. You got caught in the puzzle, got caught in the spider web. It wouldn't be we, right? Just a technicality. What would it be? Remember the sentence? I have already fed him. Yes, awesome. You got it. Okay, hopefully everybody sees that. Thank you for playing along, Lena. Appreciate that. Awesome. So now let's take a look with this information. Let's take a look at the verb chart again. Okay, so here, remember when I said the past tense and the present and the future have a different structure? The first column or the rightmost column is past tense. And the second column is present or future tense. Okay, once again, the first column is the past, the second is present or future. So what you see here, if you look at the fa'ala, what it's representing is that it just has the 3 root letters, nothing attached before or after. Nothing attached before or after. If you see that nothing is attached here, put an N in the chat. So make sure everybody's with me. There's nothing attached here. Good. So now in this case, who is the doer? It is, the default is he. Okay, so if nothing is attached, good. If nothing is attached, the default pronoun is he. Okay, if we go in the second one, and you can unmute yourself all together, you can type in the chat, let's have some fun. If we go in the second row, what is prefix? Is there any prefix here in fa'alu? Fa'alu, is there any prefix? No, there's no prefix in fa'alu. I'm talking about this second row. Let me highlight this. No prefix. Okay, good. Is there any suffix? Is there anything coming at the end? Yes, wow. And remember, I already gave you a hint. Nope, here there is wow, right? See this wow? That's an add-on. And I already gave you the hint. Wow is for plural. Wow is for plural. Wow, noon, or just a wow, or wow noon, or ya noon is for plural. Okay, wow, wow noon, or ya noon, these are used for plural. Okay, good. So now that's why the pronoun becomes they, right? Obviously, you see it on the screen. So he and they. Okay, next one. This one, is there any prefix? Oh, actually, I'm going to stop asking this question. When it's a past tense, there's not going to be any prefix. Past tense would not have any prefix. So you can see all of them would not have any prefix. It would only have a suffix, something coming after, right? And the first one, which is for he, would have not even a prefix, not even a suffix. So here, what's the suffix here? Ta fatha. Okay, good. And that means you. Okay, ta fatha means you. Okay, awesome. Next one is, what's the suffix here? To, and that is for I. Next one is tum, that is for you all. Right, so tum is for you all. The ta fatha is you singular. And now you can start seeing many examples that you already are aware of. And for fa'alna, it is we. And fa'alat, it means she. So if you just add a ta sakin, it is she. Any questions so far? Not all verbs will follow this pattern, but most of them will. So this is going to be a pretty good hack for you guys. Okay, now in the second case, you would have a prefix as well as a suffix. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run through it, keeping in mind the time. You have a ya prefix for he, you have a ya plus waw nun for they, you have a ta for you, you have a hamza for I, you have a ta waw nun for you all, you have a noon for we, and you have a ta for she. So she and you are similar. She and you are similar. There's no difference there. Okay, there's other stuff here, but we're not going to do it. You have other examples here as well, by the way. Right? So fa'ala was the generic. Fataha means to open. Nasara means to help. Daraba means to hit. So they've given you other examples as well. So here, command, right? So see what it's saying is that basically you add a hamza with a kasra, make the first one a sakin, and then the second one would get a fatha or a kasra depending on the verb. So that's not a hard and fast rule there. If'al. And now here you can see some examples, I believe here. Look at this. Iftah, unsur, idrib, isma'. So basically the key thing is that you would have a sakin on the first letter. The second could be anything. And then the third would be a sakin as well. And then you would usually have a alif with some connection at the beginning. So that's a new pattern of turning a verb into a command or request. Okay, just introducing the new pattern. We'll keep seeing it. Any questions just at a higher level?
I have a question. If you look at that pattern, if you compare it to absarna, that looks like the same, but it's not a command.
Good observation. Let's see if I can break this. Why not? The reason it's not for sure, but I'm just trying to see what I could tell you about the pattern. Okay, so first thing is the alif would never come with a fatha. Alif would never come with a fatha in the command.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one key there. So the second thing would be that it would be a kasra, right? So for example, if it's a command format, then it would be absir. Okay, so just for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. It would be absir, would be the command format of it. It wouldn't be, swad wouldn't have a fatha there as well. But for now, let's just keep it simple. And just the fact that alif has a fatha, that is actually breaking the pattern there. And obviously, as I mentioned yesterday on Telegram, the context is very important as well, right? So for example, yes, if you look at the context that, okay, they will say, Rabbana, O Lord, absarna, we have seen, we have heard, farji'na, so now return us. Return us.
But you mentioned there's a second root letter could be a fatha or a kasra, but now you're saying don't consider that as a fatha, as a command?
No, I'm saying the alif, this first one.
Yeah, the aleph, but I thought you said also that the second, the sword is a fatha, that's why it's not a command too.
That's a separate point, just because, okay, well, obviously we can make this into a command, right? So let's say if you wanted to make this into a command, it would be absir. to see, right? However, that's a different layer of knowing that, okay, the command format of ups, because it could be anything, obviously, when you're reading it, but there's rules to it, right? So for example, as we are seeing here, right? Iftah, right? So the second has a fatha. Here, the second has a dhamma, right? Here, the second has a kasra, right? So there's a ruling to it. It's not randomness. It has a ruling to it depending on how the Arabs used to use it.
So at this time, what should we know? That the
Yes. Okay. So at least time you need to know two things, right? One is that patterns can break, right? So if patterns are hints, they can break. So it's not an absolute thing. So if I'm saying, okay, most of the time this technique would work, it will tell you, right? But it also means that patterns can actually also break as well. And the verbs in Arabic language can be two forms. Either they're active, which we have talked so far about. What we haven't touched is the passive verbs. So passive verbs in Arabic language, the doer is not mentioned. The doer is not mentioned. It's hidden. So the pronoun that's there is the pronoun of the receiver. Pronoun of the receiver is attached. So basically what you are talking about, yurja'un, is in passive format, that they will be returned. So you see, yurja'un, the pronoun is they, but they are on the receiving end, that they are being returned by causing them to die. Does that make sense? As a simple explanation for now.
So the one with the fatha is active?
Yes, for now, but obviously they have a lot of different patterns, right? So even that notion of yurja'un, you would also get it from the context as you look at that whole ayah, the way it's structured. But yes, obviously there are details to it. There's a difference in terms of how they are constructed, but I wouldn't start worrying about memorizing those patterns because that would become too much, right? However, because you had that observation, so I just wanted to kind of tell you what's going on.
I think it's causing me an issue when I'm memorizing.
Yeah,
That's
so yeah, right. So yes, so I think for now, yeah, let's just go with that hint that you have already observed. But then obviously as we dig deeper, we learn more patterns, then you will start seeing that, okay, this is an active form and this is a passive form and so on and so forth. Simple stuff, ayn lam, and you had something in the beginning or something at the end. So that's the basic form called form 1. There are other forms like form 2, in which what's happening is the middle root letter is being doubled. Fa'ala is being doubled. So this has meaning of intensifying and whatnot. Regardless, we don't want to go into the detail. I just want to show you that there are other forms. And then the most common forms are going to be form 1, form 2, and form 4. So that's actually to your point, Hakeem, like you can even have verb form, which we have been seeing, in which there would always be a Hamza Fatha at the beginning. And actually the first root letter, which is the Fa in this scenario, would become Sakin. Right? Because here you can see the Fa always had a Fatha. Here the Fa had a Fatha. But in this case, the Fa would actually become Sakin. Okay, so I wanted to introduce you these two forms, form 2 and form 4. Yes, so let's keep it at that for now. And I'm going to put, so that's point number 1, that there are multiple forms. Now I wanted to show you these two charts. So I have added it here. Okay, so this is form 2. As you can see that you have the middle letter is doubled. Okay, so everything else would remain same, is that you're kind of seeing that, look, it's allama instead of fa'ala. You're adding a vowel for there, you're adding a ta. So everything else remains same. So not much is going to change, but I'm just showing you that that's how the form looks like. So this is probably relatively straightforward. And this is also showing you the command format, and it's also showing you the prohibition format for singular as well as for dual. So here when we had the la tuqaddimu, this was coming from this format, the form 2, okay? Which was what? This was chapter 49, that is Surah Hujurat, verse number 1, and word number 5. Okay, so that was straightforward, not a big deal. Another common one is verb form 4, in which, as you can see here, see what's happening. So compare this with this, right? What is the first root letter in allama? Let's make sure we are all on the same page. What's the first root letter in allama? Ain, thank you. What is the first root letter in tuqaddimu? Good, qaf, right? So as it says, right, look, for command, it would be qaddim or qaddimu for plural. And for prohibition, la tuqaddim, la tuqaddimu. And that's what we are seeing here. Very good. But as you can see, that the first root letter was always with a fatha, especially in the past tense, right? It's with a fatha in the past tense and with a dhamma in the, with the fatha in the present tense. Actually, yes, so it's fatha for both past and present. Both you have the fatha for the first root letter. Now in verb 4, aslama, what is the first root letter? First root letter in aslama is seen. Very good. Okay, but seen is sakin. Okay, same thing here, which is going to come up in verse number 9. So wait for a second. Verse number 9, we'll see two forms of it. And if you know the pattern, you would actually, when you go back to Surah Al-Sajda, you will start seeing this pattern in Surah Al-Sajda as well. So that's your new pattern for the grammar for today. Yes, so we will see some patterns, right? So the one common pattern is actually two common patterns, right? So see, this is the most common patterns. Okay, so here, for example, right? So if you see, obviously, if you see it after the la, that's a clear sign of a prohibition. So for example, here, right? So in a regular sense, it's allama yu'allimu. Okay, so what's happening here? If you look at the past format, which is allama, lam as a fatha, in this scenario, I think one big hint is the second root letter would have a kasra, and then the third root letter would be sakin. That, if you start getting used to it, you will see that it would basically be a command. The second root letter having a kasra, the third root letter having a sukoon, like allim. And obviously when it becomes in plural, it will become allim. Okay, so that's one sign. Now, if you look at this other format as well, here, see the second root letter has a kasra, and then the third root letter is still sakin, the same pattern as above. But in this format, even aslim, the first root letter becomes sakin. So that's another common format. Yes, I would probably just keep it at these two for now. So that's what's going to give you most of the time.
So the one which manushtanibu, that was the first kind because the second root letter was a kasra.
Second root letter was a kasra, and yes, but which is also true. I think it also kind of forms here, right? It also forms here, but it has an added ta. But yeah, either or, like at least it gives you the notion. So that's why I'm saying if you focus on this two, the second and the third, that's what's going to give you the most of the time this rule would work, regardless of which form it is from.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so this is our verb chart. Verb chart, pattern number 1, the basics of it. So we said, look, the verb will usually give you the information about the actual action. It will usually have a noun associated with it as well. The pronoun, and that pronoun will usually represent the actor, the doer of the action. There is a notion of past and present or future. This is not from a translation perspective, not to focus on it from a translation perspective, but this helps you because depending on how it is, the structure is going to be different. And we'll talk about it in a second. And sometime within the verb, the word of the verb, you would have the object pronoun also attached to it. Okay, we have been seeing all this. I'm just recapping things that we have already seen so many times. Okay, so as you see in the past tense structure, nothing comes before, right? What we were calling prefix, nothing comes before. There's no attachment that's coming before. Every attachment is coming after. Look, the waw, the ta, the tu, the tum, the na, the sakin. In the present tense structure, there is an attachment that's coming before, and there's also attachment that's coming after. The after attachments in this scenario would only be waw noon for plural, nothing else. So all the key information about the pronoun would be in the beginning, the ya, the ta, the hamza, the noon, and the ta. Whereas in the past tense, the pronoun information would obviously be at the end because nothing is coming before. Okay, then we saw that to make this type of thing into a command, and the tip we gave yesterday was if it's a command, the first root letter would be a sakin, and the second root letter would have a the second root letter would have a fatha in this scenario, and then the third one would be a sakin, unless it's a plural, in which case it would be a dhamma. So think about it as well, right? Imagine if it was, if you want to add a wow and you don't put a dhamma, it would just be impossible to pronounce it, because you have if al, and then wow is also sakin. How would you pronounce that, right? If al, right? If al, right? So it will be very awkward. So that's why the lam gets a dhamma to continue with the wow. Okay, another thing that we saw here is the fa'il. This is a pattern where you take the first root letter, you add an alif, and then il, that gives you the doer of that action. Maf'ul is the one who receives that action, and fail is just your format. So here are some examples. Fa'ala, yaf'alu, if'al command, fa'il the doer, maf'ul the one whom the action was done on, and fail is just a thing. So example, fath is to open. Fataha, he opened. Yaftahu, he will open. Iftah, open. Fatih, the one who opens. And maftu is the one that has been opened. Okay, so we saw this chart. And what else do we have? Okay, so the other thing that we had was pronoun chart. Okay, so we saw this. I think we had a prettier picture of that, but let's just use this for now. So here we saw that, look, the gray boxes are going to be always attached. And in this situation, the attached ones are representing what? The object or relationship. So the example we used was, this is his toy, right? This is his toy. This is his book. This is his car. Or the relationship or the object, I fed him. I gave the book to him. So those are the ones that have a gray background here. Everything else is a white background, and they would just be coming as a subject pronoun, right? The he, the two he's, them, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we talked about that. If there's any questions, make sure to interrupt. What else did we have? So I think these were the two charts that we saw. Okay, we have a reflection thing, right? To help you with reflection, to enjoy the driving experience, ask the question, right? What is it telling me about Allah? How can I use this knowledge in my day-to-day, right? There has to be, probably is a way that you can use that. Okay, great. Qualities the verse is talking about. Do I have those qualities? Should I have those qualities? How much of the qualities do I have? Who does Allah love? Is there Allah making a promise in this verse? Is there a mindset or a focus shift in this verse? So we talked about that from a chart perspective. And then lastly, compilation of my notes in a very raw format until we get designy and cool with that. Okay, so the other thing that we said is that if the verb is passive, then the pronoun that's going to be attached to it is going to be the object pronoun, not the doer pronoun, because in passive scenario, the doer is not mentioned, it's not emphasized, it's not mentioned at all. Okay, we looked at the meme pattern. Okay, so this is basically the wow. You would have a meme, you would have alif lam followed by a meme, followed by a quality, and it may end with a waw noon or ya noon, or it may be singular, right? So if there's no ya noon or waw noon, that means it's singular. Like al-muslimin, al-muslimun, al-muttaqin, so on and so forth. I'm just going to create that as well, that it can actually be singular too. Okay. We talked about alladhi, and allati is the feminine version. We saw that yesterday. Allazina is plural. Okay, then we started talking about some other forms, especially form 2, where you have the middle letter that's doubled with a shadda. And we saw this format, which comes with the alif at the beginning, and the first root letter always becomes sakin. Okay, so some examples here. And today, I just gave you this grammar tip about ending in a fatha and kasra. Yeah, so see actually what's happening here, and I'll think about it. Maybe I'll figure out a pattern, but there isn't a common one that I can think of at the moment. See, so same thing is happening here, right? So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, fa'ala, he did some action, right? And then he would do some action in the future. Ifal is a command format. Now from there, if you are making, so that's one of the common patterns. If you're making a noun which does an action, right? So this is not a meme noun, it's a doer noun. So maybe one technique that seems to be, and I have to see what exceptions would come here, is that look, when you are creating something with a verb, you would do it like this. So غارق, فاعل, فاتح, ناصر, so on and so forth. And that means someone who does that action. If it's a meme word from a verb, then this means that the action is happening on that person, as you see in these examples. So that could be something to rely on. I'm sure this pattern is going to break at times, but that could be one hint to take away. One who doubts. So even here, meme, ra, ya are the root letters. Meme, ra, ya. So tamtarun, you used to doubt a bit. So this ta, the ta in the middle is the extra. You have meme, ra, and this wow is, it gets hidden because you need a vav nun for the plural as well. Yeah, so it comes here, tamtarun, you doubt, yamtarun, they doubt, yamtarun again, tamtarun, na. You will definitely be doubting, so don't do that. Do not definitely doubt about it. And tamtarun again.
A question.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like we've seen like at least 3 that I know of word meaning for doubt. Shak,
Yes.
raib, and now this tamtarun. Like, is there
Mhm.
any level of doubt? So something like it has to be something different, or does it mean the same?
I'm sure they mean different for sure. I don't know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know how they're different, but for sure there's difference in those synonyms.